Hello everyone, back again with movie and tune recap. Today, I'm going to explain an American supernatural horror film from 2016, titled Satanic. Spoilers ahead, so watch out and take care. The film begins with a frightened woman making her way through a labyrinth of walls covered in pentagrams. She hears voices and trembles in fear when suddenly a figure runs past her. On their road trip to Coachella, Elise and her boyfriend Seth, along with Elise's cousin Chloe and her boyfriend David, explore occult landmarks but end up lost in downtown Los Angeles. Chloe spots a woman trapped in a nearby building but is too far away to hear her frantic shouting. The group then checks in at the Flower Hotel, where Elise specifically requests room 204. This room is infamous as the site where Lainey Gore, one of the early members of Anton LaVey's Church of Satan, tragically slit her own throat in 1972. Later, while returning to the room after getting drinks for everyone, Chloe notices something unsettling about their neighbors next door. During a Ouija board session, Elise claims she feels a strange presence, and intrigued, the group visits the Los Angeles chapter of the Church of Satan. While there, Elise becomes fascinated by the way two patrons are dressed, and when Seth asks them a question, the female patron responds by spitting on him. Next, the group visit a residence in the Hollywood Hills, notorious for the Charles Manson murders in 1969, which included the killing of actress Sharon Tate. Elise persuades the group to climb up the hill so she can get a closer look at the mansion, and then asks Seth to take a picture of her and Chloe in front of it. The group visits the Black Door Shop, a store specializing in occult and satanic goods, and while exploring, Chloe notices a doll with its mouth stitched shut. They are greeted by the shopkeeper, Anthony, and when Elise inquires about the price of an occult book, Anthony tells her she needs to understand Coptic Greek for the incantations in the book to work and bluntly states that she isn't ready. As Anthony turns to leave, the group notices an upside-down cross tattooed on the back of his head. Curiosity gets the better of Seth when he spots a satanic altar in the back room of the shop, and angry, Anthony tells the group to leave while holding a knife. The group spends the rest of the day in California, and Seth tells the others about what he saw in the back room. He suggests they should secretly spy on Anthony, since he is involved in occultic stuffs, and while the rest of the group agrees, Chloe is hesitant. They decide to wait outside the Black Door Shop in their van, and when they spot Anthony leaving, they begin following him. After a long drive, Anthony leads them to a dark remote location, and David switches off the van's lights to avoid being noticed. They arrive at an isolated house, where they see a gathering of Satan worshippers, led by Anthony, performing what appears to be a satanic ritual. Tension escalates as a young woman is brought forward, seemingly about to be sacrificed as part of the ceremony, and unable to contain herself, Chloe panics and shouts, revealing their presence. Chaos ensues as the Satanists chase them away, with Anthony wielding a shotgun, and Seth loses his phone during the escape. At a gas station, the group becomes angry with Chloe for giving away their position. Since his phone contained the footages, Seth insists they should go back to retrieve his phone, but the rest of the group disagrees. The next day, the woman from the previous night calls the group using Seth's phone, and she arranges a meeting with them. The woman is revealed to be Alice, and during the meeting, she explains that the ritual wasn't a sacrifice but was meant to excommunicate her from the cult because she refused to follow the cult's evil ways. Alice returns Seth's phone, and when the group asks if there's any way they can help her, she politely declines before leaving. Seeing Alice sitting alone with no place to go, the group feels sympathy and decides to invite her to stay with them in their hotel room for the night. Realizing that the hotel room they're staying is the same one where Lainey Gore took her life, Alice explains that Lainey drew a star on the wall with her blood in an attempt to create a door to hell. Alice describes this state as a beautiful confusion, and she claims that Lainey's suicide was part of a ritual meant to bring her closer to Satan. That night, while the group is partying, Alice suddenly begins screaming, and tell everyone that she can feel Lainey's presence. She claims to know a way to summon her and leads the group in a summoning ritual. Alice draws an inverted pentagram on the wall with the numbers 1 to 5 marked in slashes at each point. She then vomits, shows the group a strange mark on her body, and proceeds to urinate on the floor, declaring that they are now bound in the circle. Alice then tells them that she will see everyone soon before grabbing a knife and suddenly slits her own throat. The group reports Alice's death to the police, and while a police investigation unfolds, they are forced to stay in Los Angeles. Without place to stay, David moves everyone to his cousin's empty house, and that night, Chloe is awoken by a strange noise and notices that Elise is no longer in the room with them. Suddenly, she hears Elise crying from the bathroom, and when she checks, she finds the bathroom empty, even the bathtub, and suddenly, Chloe is startled by an unsettling vision, only to realize it was just a nightmare. Later, Elise uses the Ouija board to try to ask why Alice killed herself, and David, who is in the bathroom, is alarmed to discover a pentagram drawn in condensation on the window. Suddenly, the group hears a loud noise from the living room, and to their horror, they find the room vandalized with a dead bird pinned to the Ouija board. They also discover that the kitchen has been defaced, with cutlery stuck to the ceiling. As the disturbing noises persist, the group heads outside, where they are shocked to see dozens of dead birds floating in the swimming pool. In frustration, the group returns to the occult shop where David angrily confronts Anthony. He accuses Anthony of vandalizing his home and attacks him in a fit of rage. However, Anthony denies any involvement, and he calmly explains that the reason Alice was excommunicated from the cult was because her satanic interests had grown too extreme for their group. Despite this revelation, the mysterious vandalism continues to escalate, with no clear explanation or resolution in sight. Having had enough of the strange events happening to them, Chloe convinced the others that they should leave Los Angeles and return to Boulder. Though David is initially hesitant, given their involvement in the police investigation over Alice's death, he eventually agrees and the group drives away. On the road, Elise suddenly starts feeling unwell, prompting David to find a place to pull the car over, and Chloe follows Elise as she steps out of the vehicle and notices strange marks on her belly. Elise goes into a restroom, and moments later, her screams fill the air before it abruptly stops, and to their horror, Elise vanished. All that remains is her torn clothing, and the restroom stall is covered in deep scratches. Hearing Elise's voice coming from a nearby building, Seth rushes inside to find her, and Chloe tries calling 911, but the signal got interrupted. Now desperate, Chloe and David enter the building, and as they search for their missing friends, they begin to hear their voices but find no sign of them, only blood-soaked trails. Suddenly, David's car begins playing an eerie sound from outside. As they press on with their search for their missing friends, Chloe and David finds 3 bloody marks carved into a pillar, and to their horror, David finds 4 fresh marks carved across his own face. As Chloe and David attempt to escape the building, they are separated, and David mysteriously vanishes. Terrorized, Chloe stumbles through a labyrinth of walls covered in pentagrams, and the voices of her missing friends echo in her ears, calling to her. She finally reaches a window and tries desperately to signal a passing car, but to her horror, the occupants of the car turn out to be her and her friends, who only take pictures of her before driving off. Determined to escape, Chloe pushes forward through the building, but is relentlessly tormented by visions of her mutilated friends. Despite her frantic efforts, she cannot escape, and suddenly, she finds herself trapped in a small, dark room covered in scratch marks on the walls. In a moment of fleeting hope, Chloe sees David, but he quickly disappears as she tries to get to him. Now marked with 5 slashes across her body, Chloe is horrified as her mouth is sewn shut and her arms are amputated off-screen. The film concludes with a mysterious creature picking up Chloe's phone and slowly approaching her. The stitches prevent her from screaming, leaving her in an unimaginable state of helpless terror as the camera fades to black. Okay guys, that's all the recap about Satanic from 2016. Thanks for watching, see you again in the next video.